Kathryn Hahn, what drew you to I Love Dick?
Well, I would say first would be Jill Soloway. I had worked with her before a couple times. I did her first feature, Afternoon Delight, and then I played the rabbi in Transparent. Mm-hmm. So that was the first thing. I knew the creative family I would be stepping into. And in so many respects, it feels like home. Then I read the source material before it had been written into a pilot by Sarah Gubbins, the amazing Sarah Gubbins, who's a playwright from Chicago. And the source material by Chris Kraus was I had never heard of the book before, and I was so turned on by it. It's one of those books you have to put down like 7. You just can't. You have to keep putting it down to just think about what you've just read, and you just want to make like small coffee table books with just like quotes from it. It's just one of those kind of like it just kind of like builds a fire under you, and you just feel so inspired. And I knew if anyone was going to crack it open into this kind of a medium, it would be that team. I knew it was going to be our same DP. I knew it was going to be our same costume designer, production designer, music the music supervisor. So I knew it was going to be the same kind of crew would be coming along with it as well. And that was also a crazy turn on.
What sort of element from the book did you like the most that you were able to then recreate or bring to life on the screen?
I think her hunger, her just unfiltered desire, what that looks like unabashed, forward-moving want, and at the same time, in so many circumstances, that kind of obsession with someone is actually the fuse that can ignite like a creative in awakening. I feel like when you think of so many pieces of art or movies or television that we've seen, it's always because there's this crazy huge fire that has to be made by the creators. And so often I feel like people need to know who they're making it for, that it makes it just hotter when you know that there's a specific addressee. And I thought that this kind of cracked that open in a really tangible way. I also like that it was, we were all kind of weary walking into it, that it was going to be highly politicized, or it's going to be kind of like from a place of like too intellectual. And I was really excited that we still got the guts of it in there, there's still a lot of messy feeling. But that kind of tension between the desire, your rational and irrational mind was still pretty tethered, which I was excited by.
What's it like as an actor when, like, this is something I'm sort of a bit interested in, when you've got the book source material and you've got the screenplays that you're given? Were they ever sort of like, you weren't knowing which one to draw upon, like there were sort of different sort of ways that it was sort of presented, or did they both work really well together in helping construct that character?
I think in this circumstance, I'm sure it's different in all, but in this particular circumstance, it was as soon as we started, the source material for me kind of had to go away, because it was clearly like we were using it as like a launching pad for something new to explore. And I think it would have gotten in my way it would have just made me a little self-conscious, I think, if I had just been trying to, because it's not a biopic. You know what I mean? It's not a strict, like, I just didn't want to I just knew I wanted to like absorb like whatever the essence of was the essence of Chris Kraus, but I didn't necessarily need to feel like I was doing it wrong or right based on her writing. We knew that we had her blessing to use it as kind of like a launching pad into something. So, and I didn't meet her until after we wrapped the pilot. And that was phenomenal. But I think if I had met her before, it would have just somehow like gotten in my craw in a way. that wouldn't have been helpful in this bird. You know what I mean? If I had been playing like Madame Curie, you know, then there would have been like interesting things to read. But this is such the essence of the person and what she was going for. I think was more imperative.
What did you say when you met her?
Oh, I mean, Matt, her brain is so fast and so beautiful, and she just is moving at a rhythm that is so much faster than the rest of us, I feel like. And she, you know, she's a little hard of hearing now, and so we had this kind of like huddled breakfast together at this little outdoor place in Silver Lake, which was way too loud, I realized, but we kind of picked, so we both were like, we kind of like we're picking a fruit salad with our fingers and just chatting, and I fell so madly in love. She's got an amazing sense of humor and a great sense of humor about herself, and we were just like just so tickled to meet each other. We were just I mean, it's a crazy thing to be able to know somebody, so because her letters were actually like, she wrote this book not knowing it was a book. It was actually just a series of letters that she wrote to this man, Dick, who she was obsessed with, this actual man, over and over again. And she didn't know what it was until, you know, years later, where she compiled them into a book together. So it's like reading someone's diary, and then you meet that. It is literally reading a diary. And then you meet that person, you're like, wow, this feels so intimate, so crazy intimate. You just feel like, you know, I know her so well on such like such a weird level that everyone else that would pick up the book would know her as equally, but it just still feels like she's a beautiful, complicated mystery, as we all are, for sure.
What was the most fun thing about shooting the season?
I mean, I had just a ball with Griffin Dunn. He is delicious and delightful, and we made each other laugh so hard. That was a real great surprise because he was a real last minute addition. I didn't meet him until the first table read. It was like crazy. It was crazy. It's one of those things of like, I hope this works, because it was like so down to the wire, and he was just like, oh my God, just like all that and then some. He was like fantastic. So it felt instantly intimate in such a fraternal way, which was perfect for this marriage.
Yeah. Do you have a moment that you think is particularly pivotal for your character, for Chris, in season 1, or a favorite scene?
I mean, there's a bunch. I think my favorite scene when I saw it wasn't necessarily that way shooting it, but my favorite when I saw it was probably the hotel room when Dick comes to see Chris in the hotel and she doesn't quite know why she's there, but she thinks that it's going to be, you know, the answer to everything, that finally this fantasy is going to like come true, and finally it's like in the flesh. And but then of course he reveals himself to be a mere mortal, and it is not as what she had anticipated. And I think it was the most most cringy and uncomfortable, and made me laugh the hardest to watch. That was I think a fave. There's a couple of them though. There's like when Griffin and I get stoned. We have a scene where we're getting stoned together, and the great Andrea Arnold shot that. Who is just a goddess, and she is such a beautiful empath with her camera. Like, she just really is there just to witness and hold the space for an actress to figure, you know, just to play and exist. And we had such Heidi Schreck wrote that episode, this amazing playwright. So we had such awesome things to hold on to as actors, but just like the doing of it, the like getting, just being like that kind of intimacy together, just like talking and laughing as a married couple was like, that was also really, really a pleasure. Really fun, really fun. We laughed a lot.
Did you, what was it like working with Kevin Bacon?
Oh my God. I mean, Kevin Bacon is so profound, and as an actor, he's such a deep human being, and that's the other thing we knew in this, we could have so easily, in making this show, Dick could have so easily been just the placard for her to he could have been just that, like a placard for her thoughts. Like she even says, it doesn't matter if you want me. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that I want you. And in the book, she really doesn't care who he is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like she doesn't really, that's the least important thing to her. Is who he is, actually. It's just that he exists for her to put all of her desire onto. And but because it's Kevin Bacon, because you can't just not, use him as wholly. And also, we knew dramatically it wasn't going to be that interesting of a series if the Dick was like really just a placeholder or an object. So yeah, that was really like it was amazing to see the show and see the like his art was pretty moving to me. Dick just letting go of that machismo.
Yeah. And what do you think then? What would you say is the sort of overriding sort of theme of the show? Or its message?
Yes, I mean, I would say it would be it's what it is to be like just a woman's voice, like to be a loud, messy, contradictory roar of a woman that doesn't care about being seen. She doesn't care how she's seen. She wants just to be heard and seen, and she wants to be the seer. She wants to be the one that's doing the seeing, and not the one that has to fit into some sort of box predetermined for her by some man. It's like everything you think that a woman should do to get get a man's attention or get the object of her desire's attention, she does kind of like the opposite of. And I think that is amazing to watch. Also, just to unpack a woman's sexuality, and that's something we talked about a lot. And this comes up in some of the episodes, especially episode 5, is, for so long we have kind of like, there has been a movement to kind of like compartmentalize parts of a woman or anyone, a human, and as their sexuality, their intellect, and to kind of like build on the creation of a person as the sexuality as being like a major part of who she is. It's also just like common sense, and that's just like duh, but it also just feels new to see that, to see like a woman's sexuality as being like as paramount to her essence as any other part. It's not some like separate, weird, little dirty, side thing. Like, oh, and also she does, it's actually who she is her sexuality, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah. No. And what? Do you have a funny story from shooting the show or anything anything interesting?
I mean, there's a scene in the last episode. I don't know if you've had a chance to see them all, but there's a scene in the last episode which involved a Ziploc baggie filled with fake blood that was very hard to get through without laughing. Yeah. And Kevin and I are convinced that if you listen really hard, you can kind of hear the crinkling of the baggie in the scene, which also made us laugh. That was also, yeah. It was like, there's a first for me, Matt, to be in a show in which there was a lot of conversation about the density and reality of menstrual blood. Was definitely a new one for me.
Yeah, well, you've got yeah, it's a very as you were saying before, a show presenting like sort of so many aspects of being female and being a woman today.
Yeah, for sure. And then it's not all like you know, that's the thing. And Jill, we've all talked about this phrase, the female gaze, so much in talking about this show, which is interesting. And because it really doesn't, to me, I think any of us at this point, like, mean just strictly on like your gender. You know, it really is about just a way of looking, where you feel like you are not the subject, but you are actually the protagonist, or the, you know, and we happen to be living in a moment in, you know, this kind of like our creative history, where all these shows that are streaming, there's such crazy, amazing content for women and people of any people that would just describe themselves as other. There's so many of that protagonism happening. So it's a really crazy, exciting time to be creating, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure in Hollywood there are still strides that are yet, like, that need to still be made.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
A lot of really great content coming out.
Yes, for sure. For sure. No, yeah, no, this is like we're just, I feel like at the beginning of figuring it out. I think everyone would say that, but it does feel to be, it's buoying to be a part of it. It feels like a really exciting moment.
Yeah. And before we started recording, Kathryn, you showed me your underwear that you've got there. Yeah. Do you wanna?
Oh yeah, sure. This no, apparently I showed you this beginning. So I don't know. They were selling this on Venice Beach this weekend, which made me laugh.
There you go.
I don't know if it's actually Amazon sanctioned or not. I can't tell, but it really is adorable. My poor children.
Yeah. Yes. It's because people did. I guess people like that. People loved it before your show. But maybe,
yeah, right. Maybe that happens. It just happens to have the same font. We don't know.
Yeah, it's a very similar font. Hey, like.
But here's the thing: we really did luck out with this gentleman's name. You know what I mean? It was a gift. So thank God to Chris Kraus falling in love with an actual man named Dick, because it really was a treat. A real gift, a creative gift, for sure.
No, very much so. You'll have to get the Amazon lawyers down to Venice Board.
You know, we were waiting. We totally were like, there had been a moment where I think we all were kind of like, when are they just waiting for the phone call of like, so you guys, the title. Like, we're just waiting to hear when they were gonna, but it never happened.
Yeah.
And we were so, thank God, because I actually do think that it's so great just to see billboards. Like, we were just, the email chain that was going around, all of us involved in it, like when the billboard started to go up, being like, can you believe we got away with this? Like, there's a huge billboard that just says I love Dick on Sunset Boulevard. Like, the best. And also because it is like, it's such a salacious title. Of course, most adults' minds go exactly to one place, but I love that underneath it, there's this like, loud, awesome, feminist, humanist voice. It's kind of great. It's fantastic.
It's like, we've also like TV series names. I love our like Schitt's Creek, how whenever like on Colbert they have to say it, they have to put the text up on the screen.
Oh, they do? That's hilarious. Oh yeah, you couldn't even say it. They'd be like, right, exactly. Well, I even like, I can't remember something, but somebody described me as being like the lead on an Amazon show, but like wouldn't even say the title of the show. And I was like, well, that just sounds so vague. Yeah. Or I went on to some morning show in New York that they couldn't say it. Like, the producers were very afraid that the hosts were going to be gift, I guess. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
See, I'm so savvy, Matt. I'm so technically savvy. That I had to be the one to say it. They were like, it's okay if you do it, yes, but
yeah, we don't get how people cut up you on the internet.
Right. It's like we just don't want to be responsible. But it was very funny, the evolution, like how long it took for us to feel actually like really comfortable saying it. And it's so funny that now we just feel so comfy. It's so great.
Yeah.
So great. But it also did feel real prudish for a second there. You know what I mean? Like, are we really going back? Like, it just felt like, of all the things that are going on right now, you know what I mean? Like, it just seemed so silly.
All the things people are saying.
Yes, there's so much verbal nonsense happening right now. Like, we're living in a time where words, like, just have, it's such an interesting moment to be like, really, that's where you're gonna, anyway, interesting.
And like, name of your show, like aside, like probably within that context, all the more importance for great writing and great work in television.
Yeah, I think so. Amen. I really hope so. I mean, because I also like, someone like Jill Soloway is such a pleasure to work with because they don't just rest on their the success of just like what had happened. Like what I love about her is that there's a show, huge success with Transparent. They so easily could have just kind of, basked in that, but instead they took this huge creative risk and a huge leap into something else that I'm just blown away by. We just need more risk takers like that. And then to see, because we have so much content now, streaming wise, there is this kind of awesome idea of like, what else can we do here now and then? Like, now that we have this, like, why can't we? Like, what is a television? Like, why can't we just kind of bust the borders open a little bit of examining what this medium is? And I mean, a lot of people are doing it. It's like, that's again, like why it's so crazy exciting. There was a moment, I think, in the writer's room of this for Dick, which also was all women for the first time. Apparently we keep waiting to be corrected, but no one has yet. Apparently it's the first all women's writer's room, like, which is also just crazy to be like, really? Because it was so easy to make happen. But apparently there was a moment in this where they were like, why can't we use this as a placeholder for other women's work? So then we got a curator, like a film curator who kind of has used different women's work throughout the season so that one, as an audience member, can be introduced to work that maybe they hadn't heard of or would never have seen otherwise. And they use this work to feed into the narrative, which is also really like crazy, exciting thing to do. Also, I have to give a hats off to Bruce Gilbert, our music supervisor, because I just think the music in this is so extraordinary. And I didn't understand. It was like, and I feel the same way with him with Transparent. Also, is like you sometimes as an actor you don't understand like the whole of it when you're in it because you're so in the pinhole of like what you want and what you're doing. And if I can't, it's hard for me to be like also be a dramaturg to like look outside of it, the big like I just have to like sit in it with my myself. And then when you see it and you hear that music, I understood more about it from listening to some of the music choices. For sure, it's beautiful. Soundtrack's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Are we getting a season 2? Is that?
Oh my God, we're hoping. We're waiting to hear, but yeah, all roads are leading, but we don't know exactly when or what.
Yeah.
And that's also the kind of amazing thing of it too, is because it was like, Jill shoots some kind of like basically like 4-hour movies.
Yeah. So Emmy nominations were not hurt with season 2.
No, apparently not. That's what we've been told. Yeah.
We'll say all the best of luck for the Emmy Awards, Kathryn. Thanks so much.
Man, thank you so much for accommodating this and for getting up early. And see, I have no excuse for not running a brush through my hair for you. It's not 5 a.m. over here.
Yeah, no worries at all, Kathryn. It's a real pleasure to chat to you again.
Thank you.
Also, thanks for the last time we chatted, giving me a few tips on what to ask Bradley.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my God, we totally did. Yeah, that's right. Sweet Bradley Whitford, that cutie pie. And
I mentioned I mentioned this last time we chatted, but I saw both of you guys in Boeing. Yeah. And
I just worked for a hot minute with Christine Baranski, who's also a goddess, and she's tremendous. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Oh my God, Boing. That was awesome.
That was a fun show. Like that's a really a good farce is great. Like
farces are hard to pull off. I'm sweaty thinking about it right now, but they are really. But that was that was a great one. It's kind of raised the bar for me forever, unfortunately, farce wise. Because that Mark Rylance, forget it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And that was sort of that. It was like, I think maybe like my first time in America or something like that. It's before I hadn't interviewed anyone at that point or anything. So it was like, I was very just excited to, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, no, yeah, that was my first and only time doing Broadway. It was, God, what a total pleasure. Really has for sure raised the bar.
We'll see you, Kathryn. Thanks so much.
Matt, thank you for everything. Again, thank you for accommodating this.
No worries at all.